January 1958. A boardroom in Florida. A woman sits alone at the table, facing a row of men who are about to do something almost impressively petty. Her name is Brownie Wise, and in the next hour, corporate America is about to pull off the most petty magic trick in business history. They're going to make a person disappear. Poof. Photographs off the walls. Her name scrubbed from the paperwork. Her own autobiography taken outside and buried in a pit. Like the world's most boring pirate treasure. Huh. Buried books. Think about how mad you have to be at someone to bury their book instead of just not reading it. She built one of the most recognizable brands in American history. You've absolutely used the product. You have never once heard her name. Let's fix that, and let's have some fun doing it. You've got one right now, probably in your fridge, holding last night's leftovers, sealed so tight that when you crack it open, it lets out this little satisfied burp of air. That sound. That's not just plastic. That's a 1947 patent, quietly celebrating its own genius every single time you open the lid. This story starts with literal industrial garbage. It ends with betrayal. And somewhere in the middle, a woman flings a bowl full of fruit punch across a crowded living room, on purpose, in front of guests, and it becomes one of the great sales pitches of the 20th century. But first, the garbage. Because to understand what Brownie Wise built, you first need to meet the man who accidentally handed her the raw material. His name was Earl Tupper. In 1936, he went bankrupt. He was the son of a tree surgeon. He hated being broke, and he had decided, with the unwavering confidence of a man who has never once been asked for his opinion, that inventing things was clearly the answer. He tried gas-powered fish. He tried plastic combs. Most of it went nowhere, delightfully. Then he landed a job at DuPont. And DuPont handed him something nobody else wanted. Black, oily industrial sludge, left over from refining oil. The stuff you throw away. Earl Tupper looked at a bin of literal waste and thought, yeah, I'll take that home with me, which is either the beginning of a great American success story or a red flag, depending on your neighbors. He melted it down, cleaned it up, and out came something strange and wonderful. A plastic that was light, that wouldn't shatter, that could bend without snapping. He shaped it into a bowl and called it the Wonder Bowl, which is a genuinely great name for something made out of trash. But the bowl wasn't the invention. The lid was. He borrowed the seal from the underside of a paint can. Press one edge down first, push the air out, then seal it shut. Simple, airtight, watertight. Food stayed fresh for days, which in 1946 was basically witchcraft. And then Earl Tupper did something almost as impressive as the invention itself. He put it in stores, and absolutely nobody bought it. Well, people looked at a container that sealed so perfectly it seemed to vanish, and thought, wait, how do I even open this thing? And moved along to buy a jar with a normal lid, like a normal person. Turns out Earl Tupper had solved plastic completely, and solved people not even a little bit. The man hated crowds, hated selling, and communicated with his own staff exclusively by memo, which is the business equivalent of texting someone who lives in the same house as you. His genius invention sat on shelves collecting dust, misunderstood by an entire nation, until a woman he had never met walked into the story and fixed everything he'd gotten catastrophically wrong. Her name was Brownie Wise, single mother, Detroit, and a genuine talent for something nobody had ever bothered to train her for. She'd left a bad marriage, worked through the war as a secretary, and then discovered she had a gift for selling things at parties in other women's living rooms. Part salesperson, part best friend, part ringleader. She was so good at it that she went to her boss and asked for a promotion into management. He told her, flatly, there was no place for women in management. Cool, fine, noted. She found a different place, a better one, as it turns out. In a catalog full of unsold, misunderstood plastic bowls that everyone else had already given up on. At a party one night, in front of a room full of women who had absolutely no idea what was about to happen, she filled a Tupperware bowl with fruit punch and hurled it across the room like she had something to prove. Whoa! The lid held. Not one drop hit the carpet. The room went dead silent for a second, and then every single woman in it wanted one, immediately. Within months, she'd built a sales network across Florida out of nothing but charisma and a very good party trick. By 1951, Earl Tupper, a man who actively avoided other humans, picked up the phone and called her personally, which for him was practically a marriage proposal. He made her vice president. Then he did something no one saw coming. He pulled Tupperware out of every store in America. The only way to get one now was to go to a party in someone's living room and watch someone throw punch at a wall. Brownie Wise had figured out something Earl Tupper never could in 100 lifetimes. The bowl wasn't the product. The gathering was the product. The bowl was just the excuse to get everyone in the room. In 1954, she threw the Tupperware Jubilee, an event so gloriously over the top that hundreds of saleswomen dug through an actual swamp hunting for buried prizes, mink stoles, diamond rings, real cars buried under flags, like the world's strangest treasure hunt. That same year, she became the first woman ever to appear on the cover of Business Week. And up in Massachusetts, Earl Tupper read every word of it and felt something that was decidedly not pride. He built the product. She built the entire business around it. He hated being seen. She was born for it. For a while, that balance actually worked. Then, the company got big enough that somebody was going to get the credit, and Earl Tupper decided, with real conviction, that it absolutely would not be her. When the magazines started saying Brownie Wise was the reason Tupperware existed at all, his pride curdled into something meaner than jealousy. He wanted her gone, and he was willing to be genuinely petty about it. In January 1955, the board fired her. No stock, no severance worth mentioning. She sued for $1.5 million, settled for $30,000, and discovered, surprise, that the house she'd been living in belonged to the company all along. Well, she walked away with almost nothing. And then Earl Tupper did the single pettiest thing in this entire story. Every photo of her, gone. Every mention of her name, scrubbed from the records. And her own autobiography, actual physical copies of it, taken outside and buried in a pit near the headquarters she had built with her bare hands. The man invented an airtight, watertight seal for food, and the first thing he thought to do with that same industrial-grade commitment was bury a book about a woman he was mad at. Unbelievable. 6 months later, he sold the company for $16 million, divorced his wife, and left the country. Truly a guy who read the room and decided the room was fine, actually. Here's the good part though. Tupperware went bankrupt in 2024, 70 years after that swamp full of buried cars, but it never actually left. It's in your kitchen right now, holding your leftovers, letting out that same little burp of air every time you open it. A tiny, cheerful reminder that outlasted both of them. Earl Tupper invented the bowl. Brownie Wise invented the reason anyone would ever want one. And every time you hear that little seal pop open, you're hearing the sound of the woman who actually won this story. Even though somebody tried very hard to bury her. This is beneath. The surface is never the story. Next time, a scientist spends 5 years being told his invention is a total failure. A colleague accidentally finds a use for it in a church hymnal, and a $400 million lawsuit shows up decades later to argue that neither of them actually invented it first. The Post-it note?